Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I want to thank you for coming so many tonight. Woo. So I'm Romain Matile, I'm the fellow from France. You will recognize my accent, of course. And so to beginning, on behalf of all the fellow, I'd like to start by thanking Harry Merlot Foundation, which has created this program 20 years ago, and our director, Joe Furia, and Sarah Vu, who is here, our manager who support us and help us, as Shadia Jury. Happy birthday to you today. Our manager, Viviane Bouy, you saw her with the tag, which is our fun captain. Rick Zen, I didn't see him, who is our fellow, senior fellow and help us a lot. And of course, all the World Forest Center staff. I also want to thank my hosts, Belle and Michael. They are here to support me for 6 months without flinching and comment, without flinching and comment my black French humor and the huge noise of my trombone practice at home. So my topic to come in here is about wildfire prevention and prescribed burning. So France, maybe you don't know where it is in Western Europe. Capital Paris, it's about 2.5 the size of Oregon, with 67 million French guys as me. You are only 4 million inhabitants, but I think you are a lot from Oregon here. So the French is very known for the fashion, the perfume, French baguette and red wine, which is miss me a lot, especially the bread and cheese, and very touristic land. And of course, we are very known for the protest and the yellow jacket. Yeah. So my fellowship project was about comparing US and France practice about forest and wildfire prevention and prescribed burning management. So my job in Provence, south of France, was very about wildfire prevention and working for the Ministry of Agriculture and Forest in an area about the same size of the Grand Canyon National Park with 2 million people as with Marseille and Aix-en-Provence. So mainly my job was during the summer working with the firefighters on the wildfire and surveying the forest. And on the winter, managing clearing and thinning and maintaining access on the forest, working and preparing the season with the firefighter and putting a lot of hydrants for the firefighter, things that I didn't saw a lot in your federal forest and state forest. So prescribe what? Maybe somebody don't know what is it. So prescribe burning or control burn or Planet Fire of RX for the guy who know that, is a wildfire set intentionally for purpose of forest management, farming, or prairie restorations. So basically, prescribed burn is from a fire line, which is an area clear from vegetation, to another fire line, which is an area clear from vegetation. You put downwind fire, meaning that if the wind is in direction, you will put the fire in this direction, which will create a backline, and this backfire burning will create a low temperature fire, which is impacting as less as possible the soil and the trees. During the prescribed burning, there is a crew who is maintaining and patrol the fire all around to ensure that the burn is controlled. This crew is named the holding crew. So I like to come back in the history, making some flashback. So the first settler, when they came in the America, speak about the pristine nature, thinking that nobody was taking care about the nature. But in fact, what we know that now is that the Native Americans shaped their world by burning, and even before human beings, the lightnings were created an open land. The native European in Europe were shaping their world too by farming and grazing under the forest and collecting firewood. Today, today the population is growing, and many population is living in cities, and the forest is less and less managed, creating more shrub and more trees. And with the population growing, the infrastructure are encroaching the forest and the wildland. So as more and more population live in a fire-prone area means an area where the fire could easily be start and spread a lot. You know that, I suppose, especially if you come from California. And there are more and more wildland-urban interface, which is the area where people and infrastructure meet the wildland. So in those maps, you can see the fire-prone area, which are represented. So the red color is where the fire-prone area are the most important. So you can see on the United States that it's concerning the west part and the south part, and it's the same in France with the south of France near the Mediterranean, and on the west with Aquitaine and Bordeaux red wine, and of course Corsica. If you compare that with the population density, we can see that more and more inhabitants, and you know that in Oregon, especially in Portland, are coming in the west coast because the climate is quite great. It's quite the same in France with Marseille, Montpellier, and Nice. So fire-prone area increase caused by global warming. So I think everybody, or I hope that everybody know what global warming is, temperature elevation. So with this global warming, the climate change is bringing higher temperature, lower humidity, and longer stretch of drought. A modelization made in France show that the fire-prone area today are concerning the south and the west coast, and if we project it in 20 years only 2040, we can see that there are some area that has never been concerned by the wildfire who will be concerned. So I'm sure of it that the Pacific Northwest has got the same phenomenon. So the solutions about what can we do against the wildfire. So the first solution that everybody is knowing and has increased a lot is fire suppression. Fire suppression is stopping the fire. Fire suppression means a lot of aircraft, a lot of helicopter, crew on the soil, lot of risk for population, lot of risk for the firefighters. And what we know, in fact, that the fire suppression treats the symptom but not the disease. And as you can see, some cost. It cost last year $3 billion for the USA, only for the federal part, knowing that each state, as Oregon Department Forestry, collected tax income from the private sector, which increased the cost. In France, it costs 0.2 billion euro per year. So better solution or new solution is maybe treat the fire shed. So what is a fire shed? I will compare that with a watershed. Watershed is the area that drains into a single river. Fire shed is an area that drains into a single fire, which is an area where the fire, all the area is concerned by the same fire. So today, we saw that in California and in Oregon too, fire sheds are very big. So what can be done? What can be done is not simple, but it's for protect communities by mitigations activities in the wildland-urban interface, is by promoting fire-adapted communities, and by mitigating fuel, assessing wildfire risk to structures, evacuation planning and drills, awareness and educations, instead of looking only on the celebrities as we have done, who have see that last year during the big fire in California. So treat the fire sheds means conduct project at a landscape level scales in high priority areas, is strategic thinning. Thinning is cutting trees but not clear cutting, and to make fuel modification through shipping, mastication, wood utilization where it's appropriate, And of course, the use of fire whose may include burning piles, prescribed burning, or using wildfire where firefighter or public safety allow it. So the new concept you have to know and to communicate is that when there is no human concern, all the foresters today, and I know that you are some forester tonight, is let it burn. And fire is not bad, it's part of the ecology, for especially in your country, but in Australia too, it's the same phenomenon. And fire, in fact, has always been part of the landscape. The more we do fire suppression, the worse it will be. So the tools to increase in order to mitigate wildfire risk are prescribed burning and forest management in your country as in my country. So my fellowship program and what I bring back home, which is very important to me, is so the prescribed burn American knowledge. For example, is how prescribed burn is planning in here with different elements that we are not very aware in France. So very good for me. It's also smoke management improvement, because in France we have the prescribed burners are very afraid to speak about smoke management. They are afraid that if you start speaking about that, nobody will continue making prescribed burning. And of course, it's communications tools and practice is what I try to do tonight, and I hope you will understand something and my communication is not so bad. And thank you to the fellowship program, many other new skills with all the field trip we have done and all the guest speaker we saw and came here. I know you are a lot to have helped us, and you are here tonight. In October, fortunately for me, just after the program, I will have the opportunity to present my fellowship work in France during the 29th annual French Prescribed Burning Crew meeting. And after, I will try to increase the prescribed burn activity in France. So if you got some questions. And also, I want to thank all the different partners who helped me during the 6 months with US Forest Service, the Rocky Mountain Research Station in Missoula, Keep Oregon Green, ODF Oregon, Oregon Health Authority, Oregon State University, the Washington DNR, the Nature Conservancy, and of course, the World Forestry Center. Thank you.